What if I told you that science has not always been about progress? That in the pursuit of knowledge, some experiments cross the line between discovery and horror. Throughout history, researchers have justified unthinkable actions in the PU. Name of science, human subjects tortured, minds manipulated, and entire lives sacrificed for greater good. But what if the truth behind these experiments was never meant to be revealed? Stay until the end, because what you're about to discover is far more disturbing than you can imagine. Hidden in the shadows of World War II, a secret research facility carried out some of the most horrifying experiments ever documented. Unit 731, a covert biological warfare program in Japan, disguised its atrocities under the banner of scientific progress. While the world focused on the battles waged in the open, another war was being fought in underground laboratories, one where humans were the test subjects and death was merely another data point. At the heart of these operations was Shiro Ishii, a scientist with a chilling vision, to weaponize disease on an unprecedented scale. His experiments were meticulously designed to push the limits of human endurance, testing frostbite, plague infections, and biological agents on live prisoners. The victims, often referred to as logs instead of people, were subjected to procedures that defied ethical comprehension. But what exactly was he hoping to achieve? And why were these horrors hidden for so long? Official records suggest that thousands perished in these experiments, their suffering erased from history by a deliberate cover-up. Many prisoners, including civilians and captured soldiers, were infected with deadly pathogens and dissected while still alive, without anesthesia. Yet disturbingly, after the war, rather than facing justice, many of Unit 731's scientists vanished. Or worse, were recruited. But by whom? And for what purpose? Whispers of classified deals between former war criminals and global superpowers began surfacing after the war. Some historians claim that the United States secretly offered immunity to these scientists in exchange for their research data. If true, this means that some of the most horrific war crimes in history not only went unpunished, but were rewarded. Could it be that the results of these twisted experiments are still influencing modern science? Declassified documents and survivor testimonies paint a picture far darker than official narratives suggest. Many believe that remnants of Unit 731's research continued under different names, in different countries, long after the facility was dismantled. Could some of the medical breakthroughs we take for granted today be tainted by their origins? The deeper we dig, the more unsettling the truth becomes. But the most disturbing question remains: if Unit 731's legacy never truly ended, what else might be hidden in the pages of history? For decades, the horrors of Unit 731 were dismissed as wartime myths, buried under layers of classified reports and missing testimonies. But what if the real reason history ignored these atrocities wasn't just oversight, but intentional suppression? Pieces of the truth began emerging when scattered documents surfaced, revealing that the research conducted within Unit 731 was meticulously documented, archived, and preserved. But by whom? And for what purpose? Some of these lost records detail first-hand accounts from surviving prisoners, detailing unimaginable torture in the name of medical progress. Victims were exposed to chemical weapons, subjected to pressure, chambers until their bodies imploded, and injected with diseases to observe their suffering in real time. Yet, the most chilling aspect was not the experiments themselves, but what happened to the results afterward. If this data was truly destroyed after the war, as some claim, why do fragments of it keep appearing in classified military files? The most shocking revelation came from declassified U.S. intelligence reports, confirming that key figures from Unit 731 were offered complete immunity in exchange for their research. The very governments that once condemned Japan's war crimes were now secretly integrating these findings into their own biological warfare programs. This raises a terrifying question. Was justice ever truly served, or were these experiments simply relocated? Even today, many of these documents remain sealed under national security regulations. What knowledge was considered too dangerous to reveal? Some historians suggest that modern bioweapon research owes much more to Unit 731 than we are led to believe. The idea that medical breakthroughs could be tainted by these inhumane experiments is both deeply unsettling and entirely plausible. In 2018, uncovered testimonies from former Japanese soldiers confirmed that many of these lost documents were deliberately destroyed, or worse, secretly transferred to research labs in both the US and the Soviet Union. If this is true, it means that key aspects of Unit 731's research were not only preserved, but may still be in use today, under different names, in different facilities, under different governments. But the most disturbing part, not all the records were recovered. Some files remain missing, hidden in unknown archives or destroyed to protect those involved. Could these missing documents still hold secrets too shocking to reveal? And if so, who is ensuring they remain buried? If Unit 731's research was truly eradicated after the war, why do so many fragments of its legacy keep surfacing in modern scientific and military developments? Some researchers believe that the horrifying experiments never truly ended. They simply changed location, purpose, and oversight. But if that's the case, who is really in control of this knowledge today? One of the most chilling theories suggests that the research was secretly absorbed into Western and Soviet biowarfare programs. After World War II, both the United States and the USSR were desperate to gain an advantage in biological weapons. Whispers of an unspoken deal emerged. Rather than prosecuting the war criminals responsible for Unit 731, they were granted asylum and funding in exchange for their expertise. If this is true, it means that the knowledge derived from human suffering was not destroyed, but weaponized under new governments. Another disturbing hypothesis involves the Vatican archives. Some conspiracy theorists argue that key documents detailing Unit 731's crimes were acquired and hidden away, preventing the world from ever knowing the full extent of what happened. If these claims are true, it raises an even bigger question. Why would an institution like the Vatican be involved in suppressing this history? Even more unsettling are the rumors of private corporations benefiting from the data. Some believe that major pharmaceutical companies secretly integrated findings from Unit 731 into early-stage drug development, using research that should have never existed. If this were the case, it would mean that aspects of modern medicine, treatments we rely on today, might be directly linked to these dark experiments. Some of these lost records detail first-hand accounts from surviving prisoners, detailing unimaginable torture in the name of medical progress. Victims were exposed to chemical weapons, subjected to pressure chambers until their bodies imploded, and injected with diseases to observe their suffering in real time. Yet, the most chilling aspect was not the experiments themselves, but what happened to the results afterward. If this data was truly destroyed after the war, as some claim, why do fragments of it keep appearing in classified military files? But perhaps the most controversial theory suggests that some of Unit 731's experiments never actually ended. Unconfirmed reports hint at facilities in remote locations where similar research continues, under the guise of advanced medical testing. Could it be that remnants of Unit 731's work still exist, hidden under classified government projects? And if so, who is ensuring the world never finds out? One thing is certain. Every time a new document is uncovered, it leads to more questions than answers. Who really gained from these horrors? And more importantly, how much of their influence still lingers in our world today? If the atrocities of Unit 731 were as horrific as history suggests, why did so few of those responsible ever face justice? The official narrative claims that the destruction of records and the political chaos following World War II made prosecution difficult. But what if the real reason was far more sinister? What if those who had the power to expose the truth were the same ones working to keep it hidden? One of the most glaring red flags is the silence of the Tokyo trials. While Nazi war criminals faced harsh sentences at Nuremberg, many key figures from Unit 731, including its leader Shiro Ishii, escaped unpunished. Instead of execution or life imprisonment, These men disappeared into government programs, private research labs, and even high-ranking medical positions. The few testimonies that did surface were redacted, ignored, or dismissed as unreliable. Could it be that exposing the truth would have revealed too many powerful names? The most well-documented cover-up involved the United States government. Declassified intelligence reports reveal that U.S. officials actively protected Unit 731 scientists in exchange for their research. The rationale? The Cold War had begun, and biological warfare data was now a valuable asset. Instead of facing trial, these war criminals were relocated, granted immunity, and placed in top-secret American research programs. This means that some of the most brutal experiments in human history weren't just ignored. They were rewarded, but the web of cover-ups doesn't stop there. Reports suggest that the Soviet Union had its own agreements, capturing certain members of Unit 731 and absorbing them into Soviet bioweapons programs. If this is true, then both world superpowers were complicit in ensuring that the crimes of Unit 731 remained buried. Was the rivalry between the US and the USSR really about power? Or was it about who could control the most dangerous knowledge ever obtained? More recently, whispers of corporate involvement have surfaced. Some historians suspect that pharmaceutical companies and research institutions may have directly or indirectly benefited from data obtained through Unit 731 experiments. If true, it would mean that industries dedicated to saving lives were, at some level, built on the suffering and deaths of countless innocent victims. But without full access to classified files, proving this connection remains nearly impossible. And the final piece of the puzzle? The missing records. While some documents have been declassified, many key files are still restricted or have mysteriously vanished. Why would information about a long-dismantled war program still be considered a national security risk? Who stands to lose if the full truth comes out? Perhaps the most disturbing possibility is that some secrets are buried not because they belong to the past, but because they still hold power in the present. For decades, Unit 731 was dismissed as a dark footnote of history, a relic of a war long past. But recent discoveries suggest something far more disturbing. The knowledge gained through these horrors may have directly shaped the world we live in today. Declassified intelligence reports confirm that not only was the research preserved, but it actively influenced modern biological warfare programs. The techniques, data, and findings from Unit 731 were absorbed into Cold War strategies, guiding the development of advanced bioweapons, experimental vaccines, and even interrogation methods. What was once considered war crimes became the foundation for cutting-edge research, kept hidden under layers of secrecy. The most alarming evidence came from a leaked document in 2002, suggesting that some of Unit 731's data was never destroyed, but stored in restricted military archives. If true, this means that governments today still consider this knowledge valuable enough to protect at all costs. But what exactly are they hiding? Could remnants of Unit 731's experiments have continued under different names, in different facilities, long after the war ended? Even more unsettling, recent whistleblower testimonies claim that modern pharmaceutical breakthroughs in certain fields bear eerie similarities to experiments conducted in Unit 731. Could it be that some of the medicines and treatments we rely on today were built upon the suffering of those forgotten victims? If this is true, then the ethical implications are staggering. How much of what we accept as medical progress has origins too horrific to acknowledge? And then there's the final, unanswered question. If governments went to such great lengths to hide this past, what else have they kept hidden from us? History is written by the victors, but some chapters are erased before they can ever be told. The horrors of Unit 731 were buried under layers of secrecy, hidden in classified documents, and suppressed by those who stood to gain from the knowledge it uncovered. But if so much effort was made to silence the past, what does that say about the present? What if the research never truly disappeared? What if some of its findings still shape decisions made in laboratories, military facilities, and pharmaceutical companies today? If the world's most powerful nations were willing to protect war criminals in exchange for their knowledge, what else would they be willing to hide? Perhaps the most disturbing question remains unanswered. If this is just one secret that has come to light, how many more remain undiscovered? Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe that Unit 731's experiments still have an influence today? Or is the truth too buried to ever be revealed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to uncover more hidden truths that history tried to erase, subscribe and turn on notifications. There are more dark secrets waiting to be revealed, and you won't want to miss them.